All right, we are back live again. JB Dragon show tonight. I'm here. You got Dragon. We got our man behind the scenes who makes sure everything runs smoothly for us. Jazz joining us again tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
there's definitely a theme when you can't get defresh, I kind of show up. So I'm still defresh light again.
We can't get a real guest. We just bring you on.
Yeah, yeah,
that's it. Gotta have somebody to break it up. But
Yeah.
we are back after what, a 2 week hiatus. I mean, not gonna lie about it. Fairly disappointed that we're in this situation. For those, I guess, who might not be aware and you watch this show, but you don't realize what happened, Virginia lost to Duke in the ACC championship game. Um, Offense was off all night, basically.
Dude,
They were
if you
just
don't
out of
know that
sorts
by
out
now
of
and you're
rhythm.
watching the show, how are you a
Yeah,
fan?
yeah. I'm not sure why
Sorry.
you're here. You're like our guy. What was his name? Rajesh, that ended up on the forum that night.
Yeah.
You might
yeah.
just
Yeah.
stumbled into the
Unless
wrong
you're
place.
at Habs playground, just waiting for his yeast to come back. I don't know what you've been doing.
But yeah, who's out of sync that entire game? Felt like until the last drive, went down the field, scored, took the game to overtime. Which real time, I mean, I called it on the forum. I thought it was a mistake. I thought they should have went for two to try to win the game, because they were. I mean, just to put it plainly, they were very clearly not the better team that specific day all night. I mean, I don't think it could have been any more clear who the better team was on that given day. So I thought we should have tried to steal that game. Went to overtime. It was kind of more of the same. Duke went right down the field pretty quickly in number of 4 or 5 plays, I think, and scored.
Well, I mean, like even the announcer was saying on that one, they just did three or four runs straight up the middle, right? And the announcer was. Then rarely does the announcer go,
No,
"I don't understand these
they ran
calls. I
inside
don't
zone
understand
the
them at
whole
all."
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
Well,
ran inside zone the whole game and just punished the linebackers on it. They spread them out wide and
yeah,
they just came underneath.
yeah. That was our problem the whole time. I thought was we were playing way too few of guys in the box. Our linebackers, like you said, Dragon, were so well spread. The safeties were playing back, and they were kind of spread a little too. That before anybody was even thinking about getting touched, they were 3-4 yards up the field, and then it ended
Yeah.
up being 6 or 7 because on that day Duke was better than we were. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. It just is what it is. They were pushing piles, we weren't.
Yeah.
That kind of just was the theme the whole game. Had a chance on the fourth down play to get the stop, and I mean, credit to Mensa for scrambling around, extending the play, making something happen, but it ended up being a broken coverage by the end of it, and they scored. And then we get the ball, and I didn't hate the play call, honestly, to go for that. I thought it was more of a situation where Chandler could have tried to run, maybe. And again, it was just like with the late game, right? Where it was a call that if it would have worked and you caught the guy napping and we'd have just went 45 yards real quick and scored like that, it would have been like, oh man, our offensive coordinator, he's a genius. But because it doesn't work, he gets the brunt of that, which sometimes is unfair. I mean, it wasn't a necessary call by any means, but I kind of didn't like that they were in overtime to begin with. So it was kind of just one of those. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't angry at it, I
I
guess.
mean, yeah, I mean, it was interesting. So, like, I was at the game, and like in the stadium, they scored a touchdown to tie it up, and like it was the only time that stadium was even remotely live. The stadium was like a funeral home the entire game, just because it was a cold, crappy day. It was late. It was only 2/3 of the way full, maybe, and that was with the blocked off sections. And there was adequate Duke fans there, but it was a Charlottesville, Virginia crowd there for sure. And so it was quiet. And like that overtime, they got the momentum going. The crowd was actually into it, like I said, for the first time since basically kickoff. And yeah, I mean, I don't mind the play. Like, would I called it? Probably not. But like, I get it. It's fine. You might catch someone napping. It's still outside the box. What I don't like is execution, which that's not on the play callers.
Right.
You get a 26-year-old quarterback. Like all of us, you could see from I was sitting behind him, you could tell like that play was covered. All he had to do was take off. He had a first down and could have got out of bounds easily and just kept this whole thing going. And for whatever reason, he just locked in and chucked one. And there you go. So it was a rough end to a rough game, like you said. And it sucks because it puts a damper on what could have been. It sucks because it makes this game, I just said literally 30 seconds before we came on air, if you told me in August that the Hoos were going to be playing in the Gator Bowl, I'd be like, that's pretty great. Like a pretty good season, All right, I'm going. And now it's like I'll be honest, like it's hard to get up for this. And to be fair, like I don't know, like it's this is also part of the nature of just the current setup. Like when you have the playoffs in your grasp, anything less than the playoffs just seems kind of pointless. And so this is the nature and the issue of college football. I'm glad we didn't pull a Notre Dame and just didn't play in it. I do think it's worth going out there and putting on a good show, hopefully, in a couple of days. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what that stadium looks like, what Alliance Stadium looks like in Jacksonville in a couple of days. Just in general, I'm pretty sure tickets are still pretty well available from both sides. It's interesting because my in-laws are Mizzou alumni and fans, and they have no buzz for the game from their side either. So we're not alone in this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's worse for them too because their starting quarterback had already said that he was out. He wasn't going to play in the bowl game, leaving the school, all that good stuff. You know, it kind of sucks. I think if I read right, their All-American running back, though, Hardy, he's planning on playing.
Hardy, one guy's
so
playing.
all you've got is the runner or running back because you've got the quarterback, the two wide receivers, their top two wide receivers out, and their offensive coordinator left for Washington State.
Yeah, I think I saw their left tackle might not be playing too. Maybe I think I read that somewhere at some point.
I mean, so if you take what we just said right there, all you have to do is defend the run, and then if the offensive coordinator hasn't even, I mean, he just got there. I mean, he came from Michigan, so he literally showed up and then he had to leave for Jacksonville. So what is it? I mean, what type of offense is that going to be? Where you have the backup's not that bad. I mean, he's won 2 games this year. He started 3 games. He's won 2 games, and he was also
he played a while. But he played on the downside this season. So I mean, he's got experience. It's just I'll pull it up here in a second.
Matt Zollers.
Yeah. Well, no, this is good. It leads us into some of the questions we got on forum. Chowder and Dave 92 kind of expanded on a little bit thoughts of this bowl game for us, and then the general perception of the non-CFP bowls. And I think everybody kind of feels the same way, right? Like it's hard to say, right? Because like you said, Dragon, if you'd have told me in August we'd be here, we'd all be thrilled, right? I mean, my prediction was bold, and it was the Pop-Tart Bowl, right? And we're actually playing in the primetime game after the Pop-Tart Bowl. So really and truthfully, we got a better bid than what I was hoping for, right? Like, and everybody thought that time, like, oh, why would you think that that's being so optimistic? But then you become prisoner of the moment, right? And you see the team stack wins, and, you know, maybe some of them they're pulling out, but they look pretty decent doing it, right? And they get to an ACC championship game where they get to play a team that they just throttled like 3 weeks prior to that. And you're just thinking, oh my God, we win this game, we're in the college football playoff. Like, how crazy is that in itself, you know? And then you go out, you lay an egg, truthfully, and you don't get there, and it kind of deflates the sales, right? Like, it's crazy to think that they're playing in a game that would be a program record for wins, right? This would literally be the winningest season they have ever had. And it's hard to get excited for. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm going to watch. I mean, I'm not going to not watch, or I'm not going to, you know, crap on them for not being there or whatever. But like, it's frustrating in the same time. Like, it's not really a fun thing to do.
I mean, I think the whole season Go ahead, Jack.
No, go ahead, man.
Yeah, okay. I was just saying, I think the whole season, I mean, you look at the 3 losses, all 3 losses were last play. And then we had 3 wins that were last play. So you take those 6 and you lose all 6, it's a crappy season. You take all 6 and you win all 6, it's an amazing season. And I don't think we were a juggernaut. I don't think UVA was a juggernaut this year. There was a lot of luck involved in this season. So it is what it is. And I think in the moment, it was very disappointing. I mean, heck, I went upstairs and I woke all my kids up to come back downstairs for the overtime. And then they saw the interception, like, was that it? And then they all just walked away. So
thanks, Dad.
It was pretty disappointing, but at the same time, I mean, if you step back and you look at it, it was a really magical run that they did. Disappointing they lost it, and I get what you're saying. I think that there's not as much buzz going in, but it still was a pretty magical season. So I get what everybody's saying, and I get both sides of, yeah, I don't care, but also it could be a great thing if we do well in this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's the one thing that kind of holds me, that gets me excited about this game. What you just touched on, JB, there's a chance to win 11 ball games, which that does mean something. And that, you know, when you can look back and you scroll through the records, 3-4 years from now, you see an 11-win season. That means a lot. You see it. It's one thing they talk about in bowl games all the time, or during bowl season when they start posting teams' records in the playoffs. It's like, oh, Lane Kiffin's claim to fame is he got Ole Miss to 3 11-win seasons. Like that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
And no matter how you get there, hook or crook, 1-win games. To your point, Jazz, if you can go back and look at last year's Virginia team that won 5 games, 4 or 5 of their losses were by 1 score or less on the last. So that's a team that was very close to being an 8-win team if a couple flags and a couple plays go the other way. So, I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the game. 4 or 5 plays decide every game. You watched the Oklahoma game last Friday in the playoffs. Mateer runs the ball on 3rd and 2. They probably win that game. Instead, he goes for a deep play. The next play is a muff punt. The next play after that is a pick 6. They suddenly went from 17-0 to a tie ball game going to the half, and he never recovered. Like, 1 or 2 plays make football games. That's just – I know people will argue that, but that's how football is. That's what it is, Generally speaking, even if you win by 50, chances are if you look back, unless you're just overwhelmed, 1 or 2 plays are what broke it open. And then, someone just never recovered. So, and it's just – this is the nature of college football now. With the bowl system, there's a 2-tier system when it gets to the postseason. It used to be everyone just wanted to get to a bowl game, and they all just matter because that was just what you wanted to get to. But now there's a playoff. And when you can see the playoff and feel the playoff and touch the playoff, almost touch it, it's a little bit harder to get back up for all this other stuff. And it's just the reality of it. And Virginia's in the same thing that, Texas is feeling it right now. Notre Dame quit football, quite frankly, because of it. Like, let's just call it what it is. So, I mean, there are a lot of ways I guess you could approach it, kind of look at it. So,
and then with the way transfers work and NIL works right now, I mean, as soon as you put your name in the transfer portal, like we're just talking about Missouri, I mean, we're not playing Missouri. We're playing the shell of Missouri.
Yeah.
And again, we've got some players that have opted out as well. Like Jason Pavard, right? I mean, he's not playing. And I'm sure there's others that aren't playing because they put their name in the portal. And so, I think we've got more of a complete team going into the bowl, but I don't think it's 100% like it normally would be like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean,
I think that might be the thing that's ruined the bowl season more than anything else is I was talking to some gambling buddies, picking games, and like all of us like, I haven't picked anything. I might pick 1 or 2 games just because I just want something to entertain me. But you can't. The season's ruined because every team you don't know who's going to play until they trot out on the field. I mean, I saw. Oh gosh, who was I can't remember. One team said they have 25 players who may not play.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's insane. That's a quarter of your roster.
Even that, I mean, you look at last year, the Cam Ward situation, right? He played a first half, got his numbers or whatever it was he wanted to show, and then he sat. Like, he just pulled himself. I mean, I don't want to attack his character or anything, but like talking the gambling side or, picking and that type of thing, how do you do it? I mean, you can't. Like, the only thing you're interested in is the playoff, right? And unfortunately, college football, the playoff is a great thing. Like, I really enjoy it. I do. But there's a give and a take to this. The more they expand this playoff, the less meaningful any other bowl game is, period. Like, when it was 4, and you still had like a big, say, Rose Bowl matchup or something you could still kind of get a little bit of juice for at least. Like, it kind of sort of mattered a little. But now that you're up to 12 and all the big bowl games are part of the playoffs, they're just de facto semifinals, finals, whatever, it takes away from it, right? I mean, what's the big bowl game now? The big one is the one we're in, the one that Texas is in. What is it, the Cheez-It Bowl or Citrus Bowl or whatever?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, if I had to think about it, I mean, the ones that are still marquee names that we all grew up with, Gator, Citrus, Holiday-ish.
Yeah, the Sun Bowl, I guess. I mean,
the Sun Bowl. That's the one I was trying to think. I said Holiday. I was trying to think of Sun Bowl. Yeah, like Sun Bowl, I guess. But I mean, all of those were kind of always that tier 1B or tier 2,
right.
And then the rest of them are they're just modern gimmicks. They've just been around for Pop Tart, whatever. They're all been around for last.
Bush's Bowl, baked beans, a bowl, bones.
Yeah, they're all just corporate.
The Xbox with the Master Chief handing out the trophy,
Yeah.
That stuff's fun.
Whatever the LA Bowl was 4 weeks ago. I mean, you're right. Like, the playoff kind of sucked up all the air out of the room. When they took Once the Cotton Bowl and all those went off the board, like, there's no history to most of these games. Like I said, the Gator Bowl has a history in it. Virginia's played in it, obviously, but like the rest of these bowls, there's not even a history to look back and go, oh man, so look at those banners we got from the Gaylord Perry Lawnmower Care Bowl with baked beans on the side. Like,
the Gasparilla Bowl or something, Bad Boy Mowers Bowl. Like,
at this point, I'd rather we just add a week to the season. Everyone plays week 0, and everyone's forced to just play some random matchup. Week 0 is a computer generated matchup.
I mean, why don't they have teams? Why don't they have an NIT?
I mean,
for football.
Well, the problem, I think, if they did that, is the group of 5 would just be relegated to it.
Yeah.
Which I don't really think. I understand that JMU and Tulane didn't stand a chance in either of their games.
Actually, I'm okay with that. I think we need to make.
I enjoy it personally. Like, I love the idea, even if they're outmatched. Like, just them getting to be on that field, I think is cool. Like,
I think it's great for them.
Detriment, right? That JMU got in, but like, it's still fun though, Yeah,
it's great for them. It makes for crappy football, and I think.
But no one complains about the 1-16 games in March Madness, do they? They think that's awesome.
But I mean that's the thing is, in basketball lends itself that can happen, and it's happened twice. We all know one of them, and it's happened one other time since.
I don't recall.
It doesn't really. Don't worry. Watch any Virginia game. They'll tell you about it 20 times with our damn coach. But it just doesn't happen in football. I mean, you have moments, sure, but like I said, like you have upsets in football. You don't have Cinderella. It can happen once. It ain't happening twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like no one's going. You'll never see a 12 seed go on a run in the playoff for as long as it happens in this current format. It just ain't happening. And I think, unfortunately for the sport, I mean, I get it. I do think it's good for the schools, and I want to always pull for the underdogs, and I do. But I think when the ratings come out, I haven't looked at the ratings, but I would imagine that no one in the NCAA offices or no one at ESPN really liked the fact that their game just got trounced by the Packers-Bears game on Saturday night. And essentially, everyone stopped watching football at about 4 p.m. after that Miami game.
Yep.
Because, I mean, I did. I watched everything. And even I watched I watched most of the Ole Miss games because I was just curious about that first half. And they actually Tulane kept it close. I watched maybe a quarter of Oregon. But just because I just wanted to see how bad they were going to run up the score. Then they took them a little while to get rolling. I was like, all right, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We're just at a point where we need a super league. You need, and that will allow you to have a proper playoff where teams are actually have a common schedule, common opponents, and common divisions, so you can actually compare apples to apples instead of this mask thing where you're trying to compare teams that have no common denominator other than the fact they both play the same sport, but they have nothing to compare. So. And then we just create a second tier where it's going to be the middle class of football where you get, I was playing around ChatGPT just the other week here, like, give me some schedules, give me some conference looks like. So if we give me the Power 4, all the top teams from that, and give me the top 3 teams from the G5, and let's build a conference out of it. Let's build a league out of it of like 40 teams. And like, even with that, there's a lot of errors in it because I wasn't, really prompted. Like, it's a much better option what we have. I mean, and I'm fine with what we have. It's okay. I'm not saying we have to trash it, but it's just the reality of it. And I don't think we should expand it. Notre Dame wants to get in, win your damn games.
All right.
That's simple.
Notre Dame, I could ran on all day, man. Like, I think the NCAA does need to put in something that, unless there is a head coaching change, if a full team opts out, they should get a postseason ban the next year. I think that crap needs to be put to an end. I think it makes a mockery of the sport and what they're trying to do.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I applaud that 100%.
Well, one thing I would like to see, and I know it's never going to happen because sponsorships, media deals, whatever, I would love to see them take the big bowl games out, at least through the next round, until the semifinals, and play those games on college campuses. And go back to having those bowl games maybe mean something. Like, it's crazy to think, like, all the pageantry of college football, because that's what gets us the most excited, right? Like, that's what separates it from NFL is the tradition. To have the Rose Bowl game be a quarterfinal game that, let's be completely honest, doesn't mean jack crap. If you win it, great, but you really don't care because you want to win the next one. Like, you're trying to get to the
so got 2 more games,
right? All of a sudden, the granddaddy of them all is a quarterfinal game that really doesn't mean anything. You get a trophy and you're just looking ahead to your next game. Like, how ridiculous does that seem? People would still watch the playoffs if they're not in those storied stadiums because it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, we want to watch good football, and you get to the quarterfinals, you're going to have probably good football. I mean, yeah, there's teams that get blown out, but like the idea of Alabama, Indiana, or
it should be a good game on paper.
Again, or whatever. Like, we're excited for it, right? Like, go back to having those big bowl games be an ending point so that it feels meaningful when a team wins them. And if they need to tie in and say the Rose Bowl game is sponsoring Indiana versus Alabama this week, okay, cool, whatever. But let's play it on the home field. It's like, let's make these things happen. Get it on campus.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I would love to see the bowl games mean more. I also, back to my earlier idea of just moving the season up a week. I think everyone should play week 0, and week 0 should be week 1. And I think we should go right into the bowls or right into the postseason playoff, whatever you want to call it. Oregon had 20 days off between games, and they didn't even have a bye. Like, that's ridiculous. It's spread out too long. It kills everyone's momentum and basically makes it this weird second season. I think that, I'm sorry, Army, Navy, it's great pageantry. I get it. We can play other football games on that day. We can.
Absolutely.
Well, they were talking about it. There was an article they're trying to figure out how to move that game to try to still make it important, but also not influence other games. And
I mean, it still has some influence on it. It's going to be it doesn't need its own day, though. Put it at the beginning of the season. Let them start and kick off the season with it or something. I don't know, but I think the playoffs should have started last week. We should be in the quarters right now, and then heading up, so that way you're finishing, and that also helps fix the transfer portal window a little bit, because that way you're playing the championship on the 6th or 7th, and you can open the free agency window the next day basically, and it would be fine. And still get kids enrolled before the start of the semester versus this weird. I mean, you just fix like 4 problems all at one time. Right. And you could do, like you said, at that point, John, you could move the bowl games into the quarterfinals or whatever, or into the semifinals, and make them actually mean something, make them hold value again. You're actually right. It makes no sense that we're playing the Rose Bowl in a week and it doesn't actually mean anything anymore. The Sugar Bowl doesn't mean what it should mean. Right. So, I mean, there's just some things that just need to be addressed in the system. I like that they're trying things. I do like that we have a playoff. I much prefer this playoff versus the 4+1 thing we had for a couple of years there. And this is way, way better than the BCS that we had 20 years ago, where computers spat out 2 teams. And you just had to go with it and just accept it. And quite frankly, it's better than what we had in the 90s, where you just watched 4 football games on New Year's Day and everyone argued over who was the best team. You had no actual contextual. You end up with Michigan and Colorado splitting national championships, because that makes sense.
I am curious to see, though, this next round next week. I don't know if you guys have paid much attention to this really, but I mean, they were the hot teams last year, but the teams that got this extra bye to the quarters looked like crap coming out. I mean, they were, you could see that they hadn't played in 6 weeks, and the other teams had played about 10 days before. And I'm very curious.
All lost last year, right? Didn't all the host teams lose?
All the home teams won the first round, and then those same teams won the second round too, because they had played. So they weren't. I mean, to me, just the way I saw it, they weren't as rusty. Flat out, like they looked like a more oiled team at that point that had actually seen some live sets. And I'm curious to see what happens if anything like that. Say even just 3 of the 4 win this time, right? And all of a sudden there's only one team that's gotten that bye. Are we all of a sudden going to start looking at, well, wait a minute, 7 of 8 teams have been beaten with this advantage. Like, how do we fix this? Yeah. That's why I kind of think at some point it's going to expand to 16 and just do away with that to get everybody back on level ground is what I think will happen. But the problem is you get to play in too many games at that point, I think, might be part of the issue. So they'd almost want to look at maybe taking a game away at somehow. Well, I don't know how that would work, but.
Well, because if you go to 16, though, don't you still – you either end up with a weird, like a horrible matchup in round 1, because then are you going to end up with like a 16-1?
They could do it like the NFL does, where they give 2 teams
but then someone's still going to get a bye week, which still kind of screws with the rhythm.
Yeah, I know. And the biggest issues with bye weeks, I mean, like the baseball, Major League Baseball, the teams that have bye weeks normally lose. Yeah. And they're normally the best teams, but they've got a bye week.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if Oregon had gotten a bye, they would have had almost 30 days off between games.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. Is it's not a bye week; it's a bye month in college.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, bye week would actually be okay. Versus Maryland in the first half. That was a bye week. That was awful.
Yeah, I mean it's bad sports, and it's really hard when, to your point, JB, when you've had 30 days off and you're going to play a team that, quite frankly, isn't that far behind you. Because let's be honest, the top 4 or 5 teams in college football aren't that different.
Mm-hmm.
And Alabama coming into someone next week, to IU, they're pretty even. And meanwhile, IU's, like you said, IU's had 30 plus days off or 20 some odd days off, and Bama just went through a battle and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's tough to go from 0 to 100 in 30 seconds, basically, or one quarter.
I do think we're going to see some upsets too. Not to get too far out there, or going off topic, but I think Bama's going to win. I think Miami's going to win. The one that I'm really racking my nails on is everything's telling me Oregon's going to win, but I want to believe in Texas Tech so badly. Like, I want Texas Tech to just win this whole thing. Honestly, that's who I'm rooting for right now. But Oregon's a good team too, so I mean, we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I do
Oregon's
think
a good top to bottom team. I thought once Miami got in, they were like my sleeper pick. I wouldn't pick them outright, but I was like, they have all the pieces there, and once they're just that kind of that. They've been playing playoff football basically for the last month, and they didn't have a long break. They basically only had 2 weeks off, to your point earlier. And they just match that defense can travel anywhere, and it kind of matches up well with anyone. And then they found a running game again. And I mean, that Texas A&M game was a thing of beauty for a football purist. Like, I mean, that was just a lot of times you see low-scoring games and they call them defensive battles, but the reality is it's just 2 bad offenses, and that was not what we saw. We saw 2 defenses just beating the crap out of each other, and eventually an offensive line just broke the other defense in the fourth quarter, and Miami just punched through because they just leaned on them for 40-plus minutes.
Well, and it was a game too that if Miami's kicker wasn't all over the place because of the wind, they would have dominated at least of they would have had points on, like, I think 6 of their 8 possessions if it weren't for
they should have been up like 15-3 or something like that in the fourth or something like that if he just
but I don't know. I mean, I'm with you there. I do think Miami's a team that I think they might sneak up on Ohio State. Honestly, I really do. I'm interested to see what happens.
Ohio State hasn't really been tested. I mean, I know they lost to IU in the Big Ten championship, but I don't know that they really played that hard in that game, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think they cared about that game.
That's the thing too, right? Like, if you know you're in, do conference championships really mean? I mean, at this point, like, would you almost rather lose to try to get that home playoff game?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to say at this point about it. Like, conference championships are another thing. They're kind of going back. Now, of course, for us, being that we had to win to get in, it means the world, right?
They do, but
big time teams like that know they're going to be locked in. Does it matter?
No, and I mean, I think that's a bad look for the sport. I mean, you had number 1 versus number 2, and no one cared about it because they knew it didn't matter.
Right.
Like, that's not healthy for your sport. That should have been a prime time by itself standalone game that could have arguably been for the national championship. In any other year, it probably would have been. And no one cared about it because IU cared about it. I don't know that really if Ohio State really. I rewatched that game. I'm like, they ran a very vanilla offense for them. Like, compared, I watched a couple of Ohio State games this year. I'm like, they ran a pretty vanilla offense. And they were still in it. They were never out of that game. They also had some kicking issues that they blew a couple of kicks that were chippies. But I'm like, geez, like, that's ridiculous that the Big Ten championship does not matter. That's just ridiculous.
I mean, none of them do. So,
I mean, that's not true. We clearly,
I know,
win one.
we cared.
BYU would argue that it does matter. Had they beat Texas Tech, they would be in a playoff instead. I don't even know where they're all. They're all playing Georgia Tech, right? The Pop-Tart Bowl or some crap like that.
BYU, Georgia Tech, yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I would argue, and they'll never get rid of them because of the money involved. But I mean, I would argue at this point, I would rather see everyone play some sort of a round robin or something as close to and play 9 conference games and just take whoever finished first wins it, and you just take a regular season champ and go on.
Yeah. I'm with that. Our guy Saul's joining us here. He's a little late. You didn't miss much, man. We've kind of just been complaining about what the playoff crapshoot has made of the bowl games and how, playoffs are fun, but it's kind of ruined the rest of the sport. We've just been riffing ideas. We'll get back to, I guess, talking more Virginia stuff since that's what people are really here for.
Yeah, so let's go back to the bowl game. So the line right now, even though they're missing everybody, Missouri's still favored by 4.
I think that's more about how far it started, though, right? Because didn't they start as like a 7.5 or 8 point favorite or something?
Yeah, but I don't understand
correct.
how they could be favored with a new offensive coordinator that's never even coached a game for them, their second string quarterback, and their 2 main wide receivers out. And you said their left tackle's out. If that's the case,
Mizzou's a good. I mean, this is a team that was a top 15 team basically all year. I mean, they're a good team. They're a good team that's got a lot going. Their head coach is a very, very good head coach. Mm-hmm. And I think, for a lot of people, their lasting image of Virginia is losing the game to Duke. And you combine that with the close win. And everyone's like, okay, like all right, enough's enough. And then also I just think that, to Josh's point, once the line was set at 6 or 7 when it came in, there's not a lot of money on these games right now.
Yeah.
So it's hard to move the lines, and odds makers aren't being enticed to move them for a lot of reasons. And so that's the thing. Like, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say that's where I was going to go with it, like kind of to nerd out for a second. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Dragon, because I don't really bet, but I think the way this works is once a line is set, it moves not based off of what we actually like predictive is going to happen. It moves based off of where the money's going. And to Dragon's point earlier, who bets on these random bowl games? Because you don't know what's going to happen because guys are opting out every day. So if money's not coming in, the line's not going to move. I mean, it has nothing to do with who they actually think is going to win the game. They do that up front, right? And they set a line.
If something major comes up, like if you're, what's that?
Oh, nobody said anything.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say if something major kicks in, like Chandler Morris suddenly comes up and he has the flu and he's not going to play, like they'll drop the line. They'll actually drop the line off the board before they switch it. They won't just move it down. They'll actually take the board, take the line away. Bigs will come in the extra sharp to kind of reassess it. The lines makers will. But to your point, Jim, you're absolutely right. Like what happens is the line will react will mostly come from where the money's coming in, and then it adjusts itself up or down basically. And there's no sharp money on this. There's just not a lot of money in general in bowl season, just because it's like I said earlier, it's just too unpredictable. And this is a bowl game that not many people have an eye on, and it's played at a weird time. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's driving it. I think, like I said, you combine that with where it started, and it's just kind of, you have an awkward line as a result. It's just not moving. Yeah.
Okay.
4 points, 40, the over under. I might take that over. 44 feels a little low. Granted, I know both teams like to run the ball, might slow it down. So maybe not. But
our guy Sauce is wanting to know where the advantage is, Dragon. What do we got going for us over Mizzou? I mean, for me, it's mostly just I think more of our starters are agreeing to play is probably the biggest thing right now, right? Like, I've seen some names floated, some guys that might not be participating. Obviously, we've had a few guys enter the portal already, but we'll get to the portal part here in a second because that's something I'd like to maybe do another show in a couple weeks about the portal, but something we could talk about tonight. I think
we've got defense. I think we're going to have a defensive advantage because all of our defensive players are going to be playing other than a couple. And then just like we talked about, if it's their backup quarterback, Zoller, which fun fact, Zoller means toll in German or custom. So they're paying the toll for not having their first string QB1 playing. So we don't know how that's going to be. And if they're going to run the ball, we have a pretty good run defense if we call the right plays. So I think an advantage will be that. I haven't heard much about their defense opting out. So if they've been top 15, I know their defense hasn't been bad. So we're going to have our work cut out for us on the offensive side. But I think the defense is what's going to win the game for us if we win the game.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. And I think it's going to be a run defensive game. I think that's going to decide this game one way or the other. Mizzou runs the ball incredibly well, even if their starting quarterback was in it. What's his name?
Prabula.
There we go. I knew I was going to get it. Was in. Yeah, he's not a throwing quarterback. His legs are what his main threat are. I believe he threw for less than 2,000 yards on the season. Handful of picks as well. Like, okay, he threw for TDs, got a QB rating of 63. Jesus.
Mhm.
He's not lighting up the scoreboard. So, I mean, but this is a team that does run the ball for almost 245 yards a game. So it's going to be packing in the box. You can't be none of this spread your guys out wide like we get, against Duke. Had to threat a throw, and it came in as a throwing team, and then they ran the ball underneath, or they checked down underneath and found holes. Mizzou doesn't do that. And so it's just going to be, can our D-line sack up and play hard-nosed, old-school football in a lot of ways. And probably they're going to have to, be sharp and read their keys against the option. They're going to want to put their quarterback on the edge. They're probably going to put them in a lot of read option to let them try to create. And so it's going to be staying disciplined and then taking advantage of your opportunities when they're there.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, it's kind of going to be the way it is. They rely on their running back, Hardy. He's All-American for a reason. They play pretty good defense, so we might have our work cut out on the offensive side. I feel pretty confident because I think most of our offensive guys are playing.
So.
Again, I've seen some names floated. There's one kind of key guy that may not play from what I've heard. I don't want to say that and put it on blast in case he does play because it hasn't been officially announced yet. But, I mean, I feel pretty good about where we're going to be at least. Like, I think it feels like a game to me. I think we should win just looking at the matchup of who's going to be there, who isn't, where their heads are. SEC teams are kind of notoriously maybe stuck up is the nicest way to say it. That these games don't mean much to the sport. Like we've talked about how they've been degraded because of the playoff system. They really don't mean much to that conference now. I really don't think that they care at all. And I think that's a kind of a system thing down there.
That's the interesting thing. You're right. But I think with the SEC, there's tiers to the SEC. It's a very top heavy conference. And I think Mizzou's right there in that kind of cutoff line of the Mizzou's, the UKs of the world. These are still meaningful games to them. Mizzou's starting. In their mind, they thought they were going to be a little bit better. And so that does play in there. But I do wonder, my instinct is to go exactly what you just said there, JB. It's like SEC teams tend to not care so much, and you see the opt-outs coming like crazy. But knowing Mizzou's coach and having watched him, he's one of those maniacs where he's still is going to coach things like it's the national championship game. And I think he's going to have those guys, whoever it's going to show up for them to play, ready to play. Now, I just don't know if those guys – Mizzou doesn't have the depth of some of the top tier SEC teams where their twos are still better than most teams' ones. Like Mizzou's twos are, right. Their twos pretty much everywhere. And so, it'll be interesting to see. But I don't think it's not like when Florida or some of these other teams go, like you said, go on tour and they're just like, whatever, give me my PlayStation and let me keep it rolling. I don't think that's going to be the case this time because Mizzou just doesn't have the history. They don't have a whole lot to lean back on their football history either. So I think they do, Josh. I mean, I really do. I think they do just because there's a culture around this program. I don't think Tony Elliott's not going to back off for a second, and I don't think any of these guys were going to be on an Elliott coach team. They didn't buy into everything that he's selling, especially at this point in the season. And I think, Chandler still doesn't know if this is his last game or not. And so, he's going to go out slinging. It's probably why I had this thought earlier. Probably if he'd gotten his waiver approved already, I would imagine he might have even set out this game just to go ahead and have surgery on his arm and get it cleaned up. But the fact that he doesn't have that cleared yet, so I think he's probably just like, screw it, let's go out and, he's a competitor. He wants, if this is going to be the end of the road for him, he's going to want to give it his all. So I think the guys who are going to play are going to suit up and they're going to give it hell. And, I'm pretty sure they understand the potential of what an 11-win season means. They understand what they're building. And I think they understand what they're walking towards for next year. So to them, this isn't the end of the road. I think if I'm Elliott, I'm coaching this is their first preseason game for next year. This is the start of building something. Everyone said that we can't keep this going. This is our first step to prove that this is not 2025 is not a fluke. This is the real thing. We are a football program, and we show that by going out and smacking the crap out of an SEC team in a bowl game in their backyard, or in the SEC's backyard, not Mizzou's backyard, I guess. And you kind of use it. That's how I would approach it if I was coaching team. That's what I would sell it as. And that's a tight knit culture they have there. So I think that Elliott could sell something like that, and his team would buy into it. And I'm sure some of them are going to be angry. They got to be angry after what happened in Charlotte. You'd only have so many chances to prove yourself, and so you got to take advantage of it when you can.
Yeah, I think. A couple things. I think, just being honest, like I said, these bowl games have been kind of watered down. But if you're comparing the two teams as to who is going to be more, we'll say serious, but with a chip with something to play for, with motivation, I look at it and I say, Virginia's got 10 wins, 11's a program record. Missouri's 8-4. Like that. I don't know Missouri history, but I'm assuming 9 wins isn't going to change anything for them, right? Like that's not going to be a golden season.
Yeah, I think they're kind of stuck in that no man's land.
Yeah,
it's a good season. It's a good season either way for them, but it doesn't change anything.
I think this game being in Jacksonville, which is safety Antonio Clary's hometown, being a guy who has been there since like the Bush administration or something. I don't know. He's been there forever. To be able to try to send him out with an actual win, that's yeah, right. I mean, he's been there so long, but to send him out a winner at home and to set the program record doing it for wins, like there's some motivation for you. And then beyond that, like the one thing about this program that is enjoyable, even if you don't like the X's and O's of it to watch, is that Tony Elliott is one heck of a motivator and a guy who brings people together and makes people believe. And so to be able to tell these guys who have stood by him through everything that, hey, you have a chance to set him atop the record books UVA as the winningest season ever. Like that's motivation in itself. I mean, they love their coach. Like it's not like a Lane Kiffin situation where guys are coming out saying, wait, no, that's not what you said, and throwing him under a bus. Like these guys love him, right? And they're going to play for him. So, I mean, obviously there are probably some business decisions to be made about playing in the game in general. And, I can't fault people who have high 6 to 7 figure things going on that maybe even 8 figure that they have to look at and consider when they're going to play this game or not. But I think the guys that are going to play are going to give it their all for us. I could see some. I mean, I don't know Missouri. I'm not trying to talk bad about them specifically, but I could see an 8-4 SEC team showing up to go through the motions. Whereas I think our guys that are on the field are going to buckle in and play. I mean, that's just what I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think you also have to remember, Virginia's a pretty senior-laden team. I can't remember, but there's like 20-some seniors or fourth years on this squad right now, or whatever a senior is in today's version of football. You got Clary out there and Morris who are collecting Social Security pensions while they're playing. But I think for those guys, there's a handful of them who have been here for the entire Elliott regime and have been through some shit with this program. And this is their last chance to come out and play with that jersey, and that means something. If I hate to say this about a kicker, but if you're Beckridge and you've been here through all of this and seen this program grow around you and experience the tragedy and the triumph, like this is it. And there's not going to be another. Ain't nobody calling a week from now. So I think that matters, and I think in these cases, having a team that's got more upperclassmen on who can kind of see the end of the road, they're going to step up a little bit more. And like I think you'll see that with like someone like Chandler, who's, he may not know what he's got coming on the other side of that game by the time he gets there on Saturday. So, he's already talked himself out of retirement once. He's going to go down on his shield, I would hope. And so I think he's the type of leader who's going to bring a few along with him. So. Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about Chandler going out of the game. David Hale put out saying that UVA had to send some additional information into the NCAA, which apparently they did, I guess, last week, according to his tweet. From there, a bunch of UVA media people were there to interview staff and everything yesterday. And the GM, Tyler Jones, said that essentially at this point they're planning for Morris to be back. Like it's gone from we're going to see what happens to like we're hopeful and this is the plan. Like we're acting as if he's going to be back. So, I mean, those two things together, like the NCAA wouldn't ask for more detail if they'd already decided he was out or they figured he was going to be out, right? Like there's very clearly something trying to be cleared up in that. So that's kind of making me think he's probably going to be back is the way I'm leaning right at the moment. I have no insider info to say that. That's just me reading the tea leaves and putting it together. But that's kind of the way
some of you look at some of the tea leaves on Twitter and so forth on the different transfer players that are looking at specific schools. I mean, we had our friend Tugard talk about how the next 2 weeks is going to be crazy when it comes to transfers in, right? And as funny as that sounds, even if he's right about that, a lot of it has to do with a lot of people on the back end believe Chandler Morris is coming back. I mean, they just posted something about the Tennessee. I think the Tennessee running back. What's his name?
Yeah.
Peyton Lewis. I mean, Virginia is one of the teams he's looking at. I mean, he's not looking here if Chandler Morris isn't coming back. I wouldn't if I were the running back. I want an established quarterback coming in. And so, I mean, I think the tea leaves are right, Josh. I think in a lot of ways, I think it's almost completed, and they just haven't been able to say, well, it's 98% right now. They can't say that he's coming back yet. But if he's not 98% coming back, you don't hear all this stuff about all these people looking to come in.
That's a really good connection right there. That's a really good connection.
I think that too. Other Josh here, Sauce, he's on tonight with the stuff. I love that he's bringing them to us. I think he's right. I think if I'm not mistaken, the only person that has to go is Brady Wilson. I think almost everyone else could potentially come back. Now, there's a couple waivers that would be needed and this and that, but it's stuff that following history should be approved. Like, I think that if they wanted to, everyone come back except for Brady, they could.
Yeah, that's that's my understanding of it, and my understanding of what I've heard through the grapevine is that if anyone wants a waiver, all those who are eligible for them should get them. To your point, JB, like there's no, it would be something out of that was against precedent that they wouldn't get their waivers signed. So I mean, we could run that whole O-line back again. I mean, not to start putting on the orange and blue glasses already and churning the machine here in December 25 before you even turn the calendar. But if you get that O-line back and you get Morris back and you pepper in, that's where suddenly, you talk about the portal becomes your place to add the seasoning because you got your meat and potatoes right there. You got a running back room that is already still loaded, and you have a chance to bring in someone like the back from Tennessee, maybe another receiver. You shore up your tight end position again as some guys are graduating. Those guys aren't going to get waivers. That offense looks pretty good all of a sudden on paper heading into January. It definitely looks better. It's probably the best starting point we've seen in 6 years, 7 years, maybe more.
Well, and you think too that they could potentially add in healthy the two tackles who weren't able to play this year, Monroe Mills and McKillen Thomas. Monroe Mills was projected as the number one tackle in the portal last year when we got him. I mean, and McKillen Thomas, from everything that I've seen or heard, was a guy that people were very high on, thought that he could play at this level, was the right type of transfer up you're looking for. Those could potentially be two bookend tackles that you're pairing again with already having Boley, having guys like Whitmer who have experience now. I think Josie himself, Noah Josie, actually put out that he was still deciding on what his future was going to be. Like he hadn't decided he was out yet. Obviously, Drake Metcalf could come back, could move over to center. Like the line could be pretty stout. I mean, that's a real strength.
When did we become BYU with a team full of 25-year-olds just running around playing football?
Well, you get Dakota Twitty back too. He just runs over the middle. Big target in the middle.
That is a spot I think with the portal that they can do something. Trying to add another real threat tight end, I think would be good. Because I thought they were so good when him and Ennis were healthy early on. I thought the offense was so different when we had that threat of two.
I was just about to say, this team that offense works so much better when they're in that 12 formation and they have both tight ends in there. And I think you saw the difference when Twitty went out. And I would love to see, if they were to go out and spin, I would love for them to spend a little bit on it. And you can get a tight end, relatively cheap comparative to other positions. But to be able to have that ability, like you said, to run both of them would be amazing.
You get that, and you get a stretch wide receiver.
Exactly.
Nail on that. Who's on the wide receiver side? Who has to be done this year? Is it just Cam Ross? I think both Terrell Harris
young unit.
And Edgerrin can come back, right? They're both eligible to come back. And then I need to pull it up. St. Louis, who
Adrian, I know
watching,
they were
has a
talking
wiki
about
on the
it.
forum. It's been good. That it has all the details. But I mean, you think Cam Courtney, Sedarian Harrison, these are guys that could potentially come back. Obviously, we might see some transfer stuff happen. That's out of our control. We don't know yet. Usually, that stuff comes after the bowl game. So if that's what you're looking for, next week is probably your time to tune in. If that's your biggest interest is roster movement.
Yeah.
But that's a group that could still be pretty good. And some things I've seen. Again, we could probably do a show in a couple weeks going over the transfer thing. I don't want to go too deep into it, but from what I've seen of the guys who have transferred so far, like Prevard, he's the exception in my opinion. He's looking for money. Like he's going to get a payday, and it's well deserved. He's an excellent player who deserves SEC money if he can get it. Good for him. Okay. Harrison's already transferring, so there's one. I guess I must have missed that one at some point. But the guys that have been transferring so far are guys that seem like they've kind of been rotational at best, is maybe the nicest way to put it. And it kind of, I mean, I don't know that this is what's being said or done, but it kind of feels like it's something where guys are being told, hey, just because you've been here and you were the backup, like that doesn't guarantee you anything. If there's a better player that would fit what we want to do, we could bring them in. It's kind of my outsider read on it and what's been going on. And I kind of like that, really. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, if you don't sit out anymore, I mean, that's going to be any team in the country. And with nil, that's going to be any team in the country.
Right.
You're going to say,
well,
bring people in, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. I mean, pretty much everyone I've seen, like I said, for the most part, are either pretty clearly have been or are being recruited over pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And or they have led a unhealthy career, and just from a health standpoint, had trouble staying on the field, and that's led for them to have a hard time, getting consistent PT and staying on the field. And so, in both those situations, to your point, Jas, like I mean, they have a green light to leave. I don't blame them for leaving, and I'm like, that's okay if Virginia can is at a point now where they can continually replace and replenish that pipeline. Then I say go ahead and do it. Like, you're always going to keep improving. And so I'm okay with that. And if a guy hasn't been able to be on the field due to injury, I mean, it sucks. I'm a player who's had to deal with injuries a lot in their career, but like that's, you can't depend on a player who's injury prone. And so,
Yeah. I'm good with the whole portal thing too. Like I know there's different takes on how you should build your team and the balance of having high school recruits versus portal recruits. I don't really like the idea of bringing in all 1 year guys every single year and having to replace like 40% of your team in any given season. Right. But like you're going to have guys transfer out every year. There's nothing you can do about that. I mean, it just is the way it is with how the world works now. But to me, like if you can get these guys to have 2 to 3 seasons and you actually have college level tape on them, not just, that's high school tape, we can try to project what they're going to be. Like you have proof of what they do against similar-ish comp, some G5s or Power 4 guys who have, been on the field a little bit, you've seen a little bit of. I think you keep doing it. Like the running back from Tennessee, obviously, they won't do anything until the portal opens and they can talk to him. But like if that's a guy that's interested, I don't know why on earth we wouldn't go right into it. Like get him in here if he wants to come. And I think you can do that every year. I don't think that's something you have to be like, well, wait a minute, we need to balance back out our high school stuff. Like I get wanting to have the depth and getting high school guys, but the problem is like I don't want to put a number to it because I'm not right on this. Like I don't know what the exact number is, but I could feel like 70% of your high school recruits could be a threat to transfer out any given moment. Because most 18-year-olds aren't playing on a college football field. Like in D1 football, your body's not ready for it at 18 in most circumstances,
Right.
And if they're sitting, that opens the door, right? Like in their mind, if they're already sitting, they could be out the door going somewhere else. Somebody could promise something better.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like at the end of the day, college football is not made for freshmen. It just isn't, to your point. Mm-hmm. And yes, and the people that you can name are super freaks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The average D1 recruit does not play much outside of maybe some teams here or there their first year. It's just the way that the sport is, to your point. They're just not big enough, fast enough, strong enough. And the people who do are the exceptions to the rule. They are not the rule. And so I think you have to keep those people in. And because of what you just nailed all the right points there, is because of the portal, you're going to lose. Even if you bring in 30 of those guys, you're right. You're probably going to lose 10 to 15 just because they're sick of it, they're tired, they want to go home, they want to try something else, whatever. Who cares? It's a prerogative. They're able to do it nowadays. So I mean, I think you're always, and I would, there's a big difference to your point to be able to scout someone playing Louisa High School, or I don't care if it's IMG Academy High School, versus watching them play Florida State or Auburn or some actual quality talent. There's a comp, and so when you can get that film,
or even Coastal or App State, playing college level teams,
playing college level athletes, grown men playing each other. This is a huge difference, and
right.
And I think especially if you can get these guys, there's two things. I think one, you get the guys who are coming up like that, like you say, are coming from an App State, from a Coastal, from a HBCU or something. You get them coming up. You have some good film on them. You can get them early to have them for a couple years. I think that's amazing. I love that. And then I think you get the opportunity at guys like Lewis from Tennessee, where you might be able to catch them in a bounce back discount. They're on that second contract now. All those contracts don't go up for everybody. Some of these guys were 5-star recruits, and they got recruited over because that's just also what happens at some of these big schools. And now, that $4 million contract is going to be a $2 million contract, or $2 million is going to be a $1 million, so forth and so on. And it doesn't mean they're a bad player. It just means it just didn't work out for whatever reason, because you went to an SEC school that's got 4 blue 5-stars in your backfield, and you're going to have to take a little bit less to go someplace else. And I think that's an amazing opportunity to kind of get some players like that. And I will say, like, my one knock, and I've kind of, people see me on the forum, like, I've been not against Morris coming back. My one knock is, to your point, JP, at the top of this conversation, is I wouldn't mind. I don't want to be in a cycle where Virginia's constantly having to look for a new quarterback. I don't want to be Miami, where Miami cannot get anything consistently going because they have to find a new quarterback every year. I would love to find a transfer who's got 2 years or 3 years in them, and be able to have them lock in and be the Who's quarterback for the next 3 seasons.
Yeah, I always go back to have several years ago his take, and it always is he says that minutes is currency in basketball, and what you look at, and it's a little different in football, but because you've got that 1 year where you can play 4 games, and that's a redshirt year, so you can take the 4 games. But at the same time, you got to show enough in your minutes of currency to be able to translate that to nil dollars. So if you don't project to having the amount of games that you need the next year, you're going to transfer because you don't have to sit out now. You want to get, and so you could even transfer back. I mean, we're talking about the Missouri quarterback, right? There's a rumor that he's going back to Penn State next year to be the starter at Penn State, and he was just there. So it's the same idea. Like, he left because he knew he wasn't going to start this year. And then he started, he did well at Missouri, and now he's going back to where he wanted to play in the first place. So
coaching change helped out there.
Yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying. It's,
Yeah.
it's the idea. It's the whole idea that you can go back now.
Yeah. Well, we'll see too, though, because Penn State with Matt Campbell coming in, his quarterback from Iowa State hit the portal too.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's pretty well baked in. I mean, all the rumors have Rocco following him to Penn State, which makes sense. I mean,
there was some weird stuff today where he took all mentions of Missouri off of his social media, and he put Penn State back up on there. So people are like, "What the heck does that mean?" So it could be a mistake, it could be whatever. But I don't know. It's just one of those things now where if you don't have to sit out on a red shirt and you can transfer every year, minutes is currency. Just like how, I keep saying that because as soon as I heard Cav say that, that's what I think about now. Basketball, football, everything. It's about getting on the field, showing what you can do, because that's going to translate now to nil dollars.
Yeah, I say it's literally currency at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he was saying this before nil.
Yeah.
So it now bodes even more true. By the way, Sauce and I had talked. We DM'd each other. I was actually stationed with his father-in-law at the same place for about a year. So
nice.
That's very, very interesting. Cool. So just wanted to shout out that we do have a connection outside of UVA.
That's cool. That's cool. And Sauce, man, you can keep them coming. Like, I enjoy this. I like having something more to talk about other than, honestly, I won't say I was dreading this because I enjoy doing this, but like talking about us blowing a game to get to the playoffs was not at the top of my priorities, right? Like, this wasn't really something I was high on wanting to do, right? I mean, this is fun. I enjoy having this to talk about. I think he's probably right. DB's a spot that they could definitely use some growth in. I'd like to see them add like a really good playable linebacker, mostly because I think Cam is not going to be able to play next year probably. I don't know what his plan is to do. And he probably doesn't know yet either, really, because he has time to think about this. But I don't see him really making a huge impact on a college football field next year either way. And it's kind of going to be a weird situation for him where I don't know that he can do anything for the pros either because they can't do any type of like grading on him now. We'll see. He's one for me that's like a to be determined for next year. But I think because of that, I like to see another linebacker. I liked what I saw out of Danley and Marcellus, but I think you got to have more than that. So
I look at DB as like to equate it to. I always equate everything to soccer. I equate DB to a soccer goalie. I mean, a goalie can be great, but as soon as the goalie makes one error, they're in the doghouse. Everybody hates that goalkeeper, right? It's the same with a DB. A DB can be the best DB in the world, and then has a bad game and leaves two wide open long passes, and then they're in the doghouse. Not with the coach, but with the fans and so forth. So getting a competent DB is gold, and one that can be consistent across an entire season. It's great, but it's one of those. It's the thankless position on the field because I feel like as soon as a DB makes a mistake. Oh yeah, that's the way I look at it. As soon as they let that long run down, I think it's one of the most thankless positions on the field.
You had me for about 2/3.
They are, but the difference is they also can get a pick six.
Oh sure.
Try offensive tackle. That's the most thankless position.
Yeah. So
a DB can give up 3 or 4 long passes a year, but if they get 5 picks, they'll still get drafted. If you're a tackle, and you give up
we're talking
5
about
or 6 sacks in a year, you ain't going to the league.
Yeah, the line, yes, they're all the thankless positions. I agree. I'm just talking about more like the skill positions on the outside. The ones that get all the names.
No one knows your name when you play tackle unless you screw up. Everyone knows prime time or any other fancy DB running around doing whatever.
Yeah, no, okay.
They do
yeah, I'll give you that. I'm just saying it's. I always equate everything to a soccer position. That's just my thing.
One thing, talking DBs though, this to me at this point feels like it's more of a strategy thing than anything because there's been like some repetition of it over the years. I feel like we always go for long corners as opposed to speed, and I want to see some speed. Like that, I want some corners that can run with somebody a little bit. I'd like to see that maybe not change the entire room over that way, but if a guy is only 5'9", but he runs a 4.4 or something that's relatively fast, I'd like to see them maybe take that approach a little bit as opposed to trying to get all 6 foot or taller guys.
We need a speed wide receiver too.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because that's the way DBs are switched over in the league. Just because so many teams now run out these condors at receiver, and it's I think that's a direct response to what you're seeing. It's like pretty much every team's got at least one dude who's 6'4" and is Randy Moss prototype and. I can go both ways with it. I do think you need a little bit of speed back there for sure. But yeah, I prefer more versus. And I think part of it too is that Elliott likes to be able to have guys who can step into the run game and make a play.
Yeah.
As well. And so that's the other part is when you have these 6'2" lanky DBs, you can send them on a blitz, you can bring them up in the run game and walk them through the box. And they're still stout enough to hold up, whereas these 5'9" dudes can't do anything.
Yeah. I feel like most teams at this point also like on the flip side of that, most teams you're going up against have a home run hitter, right? Like most teams have a guy that's a burner. And I would just like to have somebody that can match up with that is just all. I feel like our corners have been great because they use their length and they're able to break down some passes when guys get behind them. But it's kind of the same way talking basketball we do with a chase down block, right? Like I'd rather they not get the step on you to begin with. I think that would be a better defensive strategy than hoping you hand fight well. So I kind of would like that maybe. I don't know.
I mean, well, part of it's also like we don't press. We don't really we're not physical at the line. We tend to play our DBs off, which maybe that's because of the fact they are a step slower. But like I would also, that's the flip side. But if you're going to have that much size on the outside, let them put their hands on a receiver. And slow them off the line.
Right.
There are a few guys that we played this year, like what's his name from Louisville, like Bell, or some of those guys are like, all right, there's not a lot you can do with them. But a lot of these receivers who have gone over top, like you can put a hand on them inside the first 5, and it's going to throw that timing off. And like you said, you can stay step by step with them, but it's real hard when you're sitting 7 yards deep and you give that guy 7 yards head start to pick his direction, and you're just backpedaling.
Yeah, we will. We'll see. I mean, we could go on this all night. I feel like I think we honestly could do another show about the transfer stuff. Maybe we'll wait a couple weeks and see if we can get Jackie to come on or something. She's a good source for that. She does a really good job with that stuff.
I'd almost wait till after.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's definitely worth once we kind of get.
in.
Yeah, once we get into the portal, I think it's worth having that discussion.
Or one before the portal closes and one after. So then you get 2 more shows.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to get it to officially open or get closer to it when we get through our bowl game and kind of figure out who's leaving and what holes actually need to be plugged. And then,
well, that's something I think for us, I'm hopeful at least that it'll clear itself up pretty fast. Like I'm hoping we'll get news on Chandler. I don't know this for sure, but I'm kind of expecting news to come out at some point next week on him. And then from there, I think the dominoes will start to fall fast with what these offensive linemen are going to do. So then from there, it's even faster of like, okay, these are now, you know what I mean? Now we have half the offense figured out. We know what our needs are. Let's target some guys. Let's go heavy after them. Hopefully we don't have to reload as much, so it's a little easier to pull guys in. Like you can really put your chips in on, say, 2 or 3 or 4 even guys instead of trying to get like 8 or 9 guys, you know? So I think our portal stuff might wrap up kind of fast. Like I think that 2 weeks in, we'll have a pretty good idea of what our team's going to look like if things go the way I think they're going to go. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's the thing with the portal or even free agency and other sports. Like generally speaking, like for all the buzz, it's all pre-opening and pretty much most teams. If you're still, it's like a coaching search. If you're still searching for a coach in December, you're probably not getting the guy you wanted. If it's January 27th and we're still trying to plug holes and figure out what guys are doing, we're screwed. Like I think there's, it's just, I think you're right. I think it's all going to move very quickly. And I think everyone kind of knows, like you said, to your point, Josh, I think most people know where they're going or what they're going to do, at least I should say. And it's just a matter of just getting through Saturday so they can just make everything official.
Yeah. Speaking of coaches, for those not keeping up the bowl games, UNLV is playing right now. So Calandry is on. Shout him out if you guys want to watch our friend of the program at this point, I guess. He's on.
How are you doing? I know you're watching it. What's going on right now?
Yeah, not much. I think he's like 10 completions out of like probably 16 or 17 passes. He might be around 100 yards, somewhere close, I think. It's kind of boring, really. I'm not super invested. But he's there. And, talking about coaches, though, like, how has Dan Mullen not gotten a job yet? I just assumed he would, like, have gotten somewhere. I don't know.
I think he needs another year of seasoning at UNLV. I heard his name pop around, like, early, but I just don't think anyone's, no one's too eager to bring him back to the to the top 4 level yet. And so and I think they want to see that whatever he's done at UNLV, like UNLV's record this year, if you look at it real closely, they feasted on UNLV's schedule, so to speak, which, I mean, that's all they can do. But like when they played the Boise's of the world, they come back down to earth very quickly. And so I think there's some skepticism over, how talented that team really is.
Yeah. I'm curious still if some of these, like Michigan still, I mean, I don't even think there's like a lead on who they're going to hire. Like if I were them, I think Kyle Whittingham would have been the first person I called when I heard he said he wasn't retiring. Like the Utah coach, I think I would have jumped all over him.
I mean, I'm sure they did. I'm sure he probably also, the problem is that place is messy as all get out right now. And I'm sure any coach, someone like Kyle, looks at that and says, oh, you're about to be without your AD. Your last 2 coaches have left in disgrace. And I don't want no parts of that. You're basically going to a team that's got a lot of money, but nothing to cover it. If I'm Michigan, I think their best goal might just be to hang on with an interim coach for the year and just to right the ship and let some of this pass. And it's going to suck when you go 5-7 next year or whatever it is, but at least you can just put some distance between you and Moore and lawsuits and whatever.
Juwan Howard.
Yeah, and hopefully you can get you'll get a new AD in because it's pretty evident they're going to fire their AD here pretty soon, and you just kind of start fresh in 26. Because I mean, what's the point of going out and trying to hire a coach off the scrap heap right now if you're Michigan?
Yeah.
Like, are you really going to go get you're not getting a G4 coach?
Yeah, they've kind of missed out on just about everything. Like I said, I think Whittingham be their best bet, but I mean.
Yeah, Whittingham. I think
anywhere with Kenny Dillingham, really, the Arizona State coach. I thought he might be one that they could try to get some traction with, but apparently it never really went anywhere.
Yeah, I thought Dillingham had a shot. I thought, if everything had happened a week sooner, I feel like Matt Campbell would have been gone in a heartbeat. They could have gotten him easily,
Yeah,
But
he'd have been a big one.
you're just a day late and a dollar short, I guess, sometimes.
Well, I think Alabama winning might have messed them up too, because I
Like,
could have seen the potential of DeBour going there.
I'll tell you what, when they were down 17-0 in the first quarter, I feel like DeBoer was also booking a flight to Ann Arbor just in case. I don't know if he could have gone back to
win
Tuscaloosa.
kind of did away with that, though. There's no way they wait another week, right? Like, there's no way that Alabama plays another game before they have a coach. I don't think.
What's that, from Alabama or Michigan?
Yeah, like what happens first? Does Alabama play again, or does Michigan have a new coach? I think Michigan has a new coach. I don't think there's any chance Alabama plays again.
Yeah,
that feels crazy.
Yeah,
I think
you're right. Once they won that game last week, I think that put to bed any chances of DeBoer getting away from Alabama and Michigan being able to wrestle him away. Yeah, I mean, I really think if I'm Michigan, I would you got a Michigan guy. He's smart. He's entrenched in your system and entrenched in that university. Let him ride it out for the year. I mean, it's you just either way you're going to have to sacrifice a year of football, so you may as well just rip the Band-Aid off now and let it go. And then once it's done, you burn everything that has any sort of Jim Harbaugh association. You start over again fresh in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think that's probably their best bet at this point. Like, it's just crazy how quickly that became such a mess.
I mean, I said it on the forum 1,000 times. I was like, and I had no idea this was going to be the scandal, but I kept being like, Sherrone Moore's one scandal away from getting fired in Michigan. I'm like, they were sick of his ass back in like October because of his terrible offense he was putting up there. So I was like, it was always a possibility he might get fired. I just didn't know it was going to happen this way.
How could you? I mean,
right.
I think the fact that he kept beating Ohio State's the only reason he was still around. Like,
100%.
If he would have lost that game last year, I don't think he'd have been there this year for any of this.
I think he saved his job last year doing it. I was a little surprised he didn't get fired right away after this year's game at the Big House against Ohio State. But I guess they figured, well, we got Underwood, we'll try to run it back. And then everything just blew up in their face in just the most Bobby Petrino-esque spectacular fashion I've ever seen. So
that is,
you saw where Petrino's going, right?
Yeah, that's why he was top of mind. It's because of that.
That's crazy. We don't talk about that, but that's crazy.
One thing I did think I was kind of curious on. Do you think there's any chance that Brent Venables could be interested in Michigan? Because, like, I don't think he's well taken at Oklahoma, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I think that there's a okay, you got us there. We'll keep this arrangement, but like, I think that they wouldn't be mad if he left either. I don't really think.
No, you're right. I mean, they were booing him in that offense 3 weeks ago, and after what happened on Friday night, I don't think any. I got family who are OU. I mean, hell, I lived in Norman for a while. My mom worked there. I know the school pretty well, and yeah, you're right. They never really took to him. He's done enough that he's never on the hot seat, but also I don't think, it's funny. Oh, you kind of did the thing you always hear about in sport, the cliche of like you have too much of one thing and one coach, so you get the exact opposite.
Right.
And that's what they went from Lincoln Riley, who never had a defense, and they couldn't get over the hump. They had 5 Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, to Venables, who now they can't throw the ball to save their lives and run an offense, but they have studs all over on defense. But yeah, I don't know that Michigan will want to touch him just because their problem is also that they can't throw the ball and run a competent offense. So I don't know you bring in a coach who's got no track record of being able to run one. But I would not be surprised if he's on the move next year, though.
Yeah, I don't see him sticking around. We'll see. I mean, it's fun, but we don't have to do this forever. I'm sorry. We're holding everybody up. It's going kind of long. We're just going into random off-topic football things now. We'll try to put together a transfer portal show. That'll be fun. We'll give it a couple weeks. Let's let the portal get open first, at least, so kind of see what goes on. Like I said, I'll try to reach out to Jackie, see maybe we can get her on here again. She's great for that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, though, we got Virginia playing Saturday night, 7:30, ABC. Gator Bowl used to mean something. Now it's the chance for a program record and win. So we're going to be here for that. We're going to be cheering the team on, rooting for them. One thing I will say, we'll stretch just a little bit longer, talk about Virginia. I thought it was interesting that, I know Christmas is coming up, but like the team's already in Jacksonville. And I thought that was interesting because, like, JMU, they didn't leave for Oregon until Thursday last
Really?
week. Yeah, so they had a very weird situation. They got on a bus in Harrisonburg at 11 a.m. Thursday morning, okay? They drove to Richmond to get on the plane and flew to Oregon from there. They didn't land in Oregon until probably like 7 o'clock Oregon time, 10 o'clock our time. And that was Thursday.
Man, that's
And they
dumb.
played
To play on
Saturday.
Saturday night.
Yes.
So they gave themselves a day to acclimate to being in Oregon. Yeah, that's rough. That's
I thought
not
that was a
setting
little
yourself up
wild,
for
honestly.
success.
I mean, I don't know what the rules are and how the
Yeah.
NCAA controls that. Maybe it's a scheduling thing NCAA does. I don't know about that part of it, but I do know that was their whole travel thing.
They should. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I know
Washington
there's some
State was
rules
talking
of-
about staying here for like a week.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can. I mean,
Yeah.
the basketball team stayed in Charlotte in between Texas and Dayton. Like you,
Well, I'm saying I don't know, like in a playoff situation where it's like a tournament sanctioned by the NCAA like that, if there's like a level thing they have to do where all teams have to move at the same times. I don't know. I just know what JMU did.
yeah. I mean,
I thought it was
I
weird
can't
either
imagine
way.
that they would make them have to only come in 24 hours before a game. I mean, that's essentially what happened right there. They were in town less than 48
They
hours.
were probably right at 48 hours.
That's I mean,
They probably
that feels
got to
tight.
Oregon right at 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean that feels. I mean, maybe I don't know what their exam schedule was, or maybe that's what it was.
Mhm.
There was something going on campus for them. You know, if kids had to finish up exams by Thursday, Wednesday, or whatever, Wednesday night. But yeah, I mean that feels like poor planning on their part, on their AD's part.
Yeah, but either way,
no.
our team's already there. Is kind of what I was getting to with that. They have the extra time in Jacksonville. I seen pictures where they were getting off the buses earlier this afternoon. The Virginia football Twitter page actually, or X page, or whatever, actually put up.
Well, I mean,
So they're already there. They're going to celebrate Christmas there, I guess. I guess that's a whole team thing this year. That's kind of cool.
yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean, typically for a bowl game, you're going to go in about a week earlier. So I mean that lines up that they would have arrived, you know, like yesterday or or today, for a Saturday game. I mean, I always tell the story of Cincinnati being, out and about on Bourbon Street for a week before the Sugar Bowl that year. I mean, so was Florida. Florida's there a week early. Difference was Florida wasn't out and about on Wednesday and Thursday night before the game, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so that makes sense because bowl games also have a ton of pre-game festivities that the players are required to be at. That there's usually a banquet of some sort.
Mhm.
They got to go to the hospital and help the kids and do that sort of thing for that appearance. Not to knock it, but that is what it is. And then they got to go do usually one or two other media appearances. So that's not too surprising. But again, that's the fact that JMU was in town for less than 48 hours is shocking.
You said they flew today? They flew in today?
Yeah, I seen it. Let me make sure. I mean, I'll pull it up real quick. The Virginia football Twitter page is
No.
where I saw it at.
I was just wondering because they showed Tony Elliott. He was at the basketball.
Yeah,
game.
because Tony was at the game last
Yeah, it was
night.
this
or
afternoon.
2 nights
I'm pretty sure is when I saw it. Hang on, I'll tell you.
ago. I mean, they could have left this
I
morning.
was just like, did they fly down? And Tony Elliott was like, I'm sticking around for the basketball.
Well, I mean, they could have left this morning. They could have left Charlottesville at 9 a.m. this morning, been in Jacksonville by 11.
So-
no, I was just wondering if it was today. Yeah.
They posted it at 6:03 this afternoon. And I mean, you can see the players getting off the buses, the trees in the background. Like, it's very clear that they were in Jacksonville at that point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jacksonville's what, a 2 hour or so
Maybe
flight? Like, they
2
might
hour
not have
flight.
left till this afternoon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They could have easily left today at
Mhm.
noon and gotten in in the afternoon, or left this morning, been there by noon.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that's probably what they did. And that gives them, essentially Tuesday's a travel day, Wednesday, Thursday, Christmas, Friday to prep. Yeah, you can do that. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, seems about right. But yeah, so Virginia, Saturday night, 7:30 ABC. Like I said, we'll post on the forum, check out there what our plan will be. But we'll have some type of portal show we'll get together. So let's all try to get through it. We'll root for the Who's to pick up a program record win and go out on a high note. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.